Yeah. So I think it was.
How do I do that?
I do this one.
Is this the alternative?
This is the backup.
Alternative, this is the backup feed. Okay.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Much better.
Just something to be adjusted very, very.
You have that box?
What's that?
Should be on this.
Turn it off.
Turn it on. Okay, and unmute the line and.
The main video.
Yes, 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 yes. We need to flip that.
Oh, we do. Okay.
You and Christian got this under control.
I'm gonna give it to him right now. We got it.
Yeah. Now, so those are mild calls for earlier.
Good evening, it's 5 o'clock. The Lubbock City Council has reconvened from executive session. We're now on item 4 on our agenda tonight. By the way, it's 5 o'clock. Our ceremonial items will begin with our invocation, followed by the pledges. The Mayor Pro Tem will read the pledges, and then following that, we have one special recognition that Councilman Chidas and Councilman Christian are going to do together. Tonight, leading our invocation is Pastor Edgar Lopez. He leads the Church of God of the Firstborn. Pastor, if you come forward and open with a word of prayer, if everyone would please stand.
Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus. We do want to thank you for this meeting that you have allowed us to be in. Father, we want to pray over the city of Lubbock. I pray a blessing over the city of Lubbock. Father, and I pray a blessing the Lord, mayor, the city council, Father, I ask that you that you guide us and you lead us during this session, Father, this meeting, that we could come to an agreement and return to this. That's one. Father, I pray for the people of the United States for their help and the guidance, Father, for all these things.
Amen. And just stay standing and join me in the pledges to the United States and the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Pastor Lopez, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for your invocation. Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for your leading the pledges. And I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Christian and Mr. Chavez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Chavez, and not only do we sit next to each other, but also we are a unique distinction of being colon cancer brothers and survivors. This month is colorectal cancer awareness month. We both encourage those folks that are in the room and those that are listening on must-see TV, as the mayor says. Talk about your family history of all diseases. But fortunately, my family talked about it at a very early age. I can remember my uncle, when I was about 6 or 7 years old, suffered for many, many years and finally did multiple attacks of colon cancer. So I've been living with this situation all my life. So obviously, it's hard to say it's near and dear to my, but I wish it would be more appropriate. You got to keep a sense of humor about this stuff. But thank you, Juan. That's how we first met. We met before we even were councilmates. I interviewed him about his journey with colon cancer. So, main thing is talk about it, early detection, and give it a voice and some special recognition.
So then, do you want to do this first? I also would like to share a little testimonial with you. I'm a cancer survivor, as my cancer brother just stated. I was about 41 years old when this happened. Typically, they say start at the age of 50, getting screened. Not necessarily true. If you're starting to feel some symptoms, talk to your doctor. It's treatable. Success rate is right at 90% if you catch it early enough. So please, it's not a very tough conversation at the dinner table, but it's definitely a conversation you have to have with the loved ones. If you're experiencing some signs, again, go to your doctor. The purpose, this is a recognition of colon cancer awareness month, colorectal cancer, that is. The purpose of colon cancer prevention and awareness month is to educate the public about the benefits of colon cancer screening. Early detection of colon cancer is key to surviving this disease. Colon cancer screening helps provide early detection, prevention, and treatment of this disease. The chance of getting colon cancer increases for people who are 50 years of age or older. Therefore, if you are 50 years of age or older, it is important for you to see your physician and to schedule a colon cancer screening test. Again, I was 42 years old. In addition, if there is a history of colon cancer in your family, please work with your physician to better monitor your health. Early detection is crucial in preventing, treating, and beating colon cancer. And colon cancer screening is crucial to early detection. At this time, he doesn't need any introduction. Very well known in our community. My colon cancer brother, Randy.
Well, I hate to do this, but I'm gonna one up.
Possible.
Yeah, I was,
Something to work on.
I was 33 years old when I was affected with colon cancer. And I had my first colonoscopy when I was 15.
Oh,
So
but we're having a conversation because it was detected.
it was detected early. Special recognition, whereas colon cancer is the third most commonly diagnosed cancer and the second most common cancer cause of death for men and women in the United States, and whereas proper screening and early detection can prevent a vast majority of colorectal cancer illness and deaths, with statistics showing 90% survival rate for patients who are diagnosed and treated for colon cancer in its early stages. And whereas because statistics also show that more than 90% of colon cancer causes an occurrence of people 50 years of age or older, it is critical to increase public awareness to the benefits of colon screening, particularly for individuals who are over the age of 50. And whereas the city, we're Lubbock in the South Plains Colorectal Cancer Prevention Task Force, a dedicated group of advocates is to be recognized and applauded for raising awareness of colon cancer in Lubbock and West Texas, increasing colon cancer survival rate through early detection and treatment, and encouraging the public to seek proper and timely colon cancer screenings. Now, therefore, the mayor and the city council of the great city of Lubbock, Texas, to hereby recognize colon cancer prevention and awareness month in Lubbock, and encourage all citizens to be aware of the importance of early detection and to utilize medical screenings to proactively help prevent, treatment, and beat colon cancer. This 9th day of March 2021.
We'll distance a little bit.
On the count of 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
all right. Well done. As many of you know, a local physician has sort of led this advocacy effort over the years, Dr. Booger, who's recently retired, but is still very committed to this cause. He's traveling. We're going to deliver this to him and make sure he has it. But we lift his efforts up tonight too, because they have been, if nothing else, tireless. Okay, I believe that takes care of our ceremonial items for tonight. We'll move now to a regular meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. It's 5:09 p.m. Item 5 on our agenda is citizen comments. We have no citizen comments this evening. Just as a reminder, even though we're back here live, we are doing a hybrid type meeting. So we're taking citizen comments either in person or via email. And then the same rules apply as before. It's part of our posting every time, but until we get more people vaccinated, we will have these hybrid meetings. Mr. Christian is going up to his office and we'll finish the meeting there. He's had some coughing spells. It feels like it'd be maybe less intrusive to everyone, but he'll be joining us momentarily. So we will have all 7 members here tonight. Guys, so let's move to item 6. Those are the minutes, and then begin with item 6.1 on page 9. Minutes from the January 19, 2021 special city council meeting at the Electric Utility Board and the February 9, 2021 regular city council meeting. To begin discussion, is there a motion?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan, for the motion, Mr. Chidas for the second. These minutes were included in our agenda book. Council, are there additions or corrections to the minutes as they're presented? Okay, Seeing none, all of you, everyone in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by that same sign? Okay, that motion carries 7-0. Let's move to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are those considered to be routine and enacted by one motion without separate discussion. If the council desires to discuss an item that is pulled off the agenda, removed and considered separately. Tonight, we have two items that are to be considered separately, items 7:10 and 7:11. Council, I believe that is correct. Okay, I'll open the floor for a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of items 7:10 and 7:11.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, less 7:10 and 7:11.
Okay, thank you for that motion, Mr. Massengill. Was that a second, Mr. Chavez?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda, save for items 7:10 and 7:11. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by that very same sign? That motion carries 7-0. We'll move now to item 7:10. It's on page 143, and 7:10 and 7:11 are related. Ms. Patterson Harris, you okay if we get briefed on both of those at the same time? Is that okay with you? Okay, Mr. Atkins.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Chris Mandrell is going to come up and walk us through these. Council heard a earlier, more in-depth presentation from the work session. These are really, number one, continuing a great program that Chris and his team put together. Second, really an outshoot of the first work task, so to speak, from our recently completed study. So, Chris, please.
Sure, thank you, Mayor Council. So 7:10 is a contract with Smith, who is the provider of the platform that we utilize to do our City Bus on Demand bookings. And they provide the platform to do those bookings. They also book our paratransit and Medicaid trips to that same platform. They supply the white label app that is the City Bus on Demand app. So they provide that to us. So we get all that with this contract. The contract is a 3-year contract with 2 1-year renewals. And we estimate this contract will be roughly around $115,000 per year. There is kind of a base fee that they have for the platform, and then it is based upon how many boardings or included boardings that they charge that are booked through the year. And 7-11 is a contract with AECOM for a facility feasibility study, which in the comprehensive operational analysis that was presented earlier in the final draft form, it was a piece of they called out, that consultant called out to specifically look at our downtown transfer plaza as it relates to is the location of it appropriate for the overall system. So this contract with AECOM will look at specifically the downtown transfer plaza, but in addition to that, it will also look at our admin administrative maintenance facility, which goes to figure out if that's the current appropriate location or maybe move that into another location. It'll also include opportunities to look at satellite type transfer facilities in and around the facility that we might be able to utilize. The footprint of those may not be anything close to what we have as far as the national transfer plaza, but maybe just kind of a smaller mobility hubs where we can provide a space that's safe for passengers to make transfers at those locations. It will also provide conceptual designs of these facilities. They will provide us kind of cost estimates of those. They'll kind of look at the phasing of that. They'll also look at potential federal monies that we could use or could apply for to help pay for these facilities. And so we just to really kind of bring everything together so that we have all the tools we need to really make those decisions as we move forward. And the last thing that's important about this was that then they will take all those facilities, all the sites that they determine through this feasibility process, and then they'll take any routes and these services and then tie those into those locations so that they determine would be appropriate for the transfer. So that is a contract, or I'm sorry, that contract is that we pay for through a tech stop grant. We applied for and received a $200,000 tech stop grant, National Transportation Development Credits, which provides us 100% tech stop money to pay for this stuff. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mandrell. any questions for Mr. Mandel?
I do.
Ms. Patterson.
I want to be clear as to SPAR platform, what that actually is. You say they provide spare pool on demand. What is that?
So basically what this is a lot of times across the country, transit agencies are going to a micro transit type service. But they're running that separate of any sort of other on demand, or I'm sorry, demand response or air transit service. So it's a completely separate service that provided. What Spirit allows us to do is we use the same vehicles that we provide our AV complimentary air transit trips with. We just allow the extra seats that will be opened up to the general public for rides. So basically the term that they utilize is commingled. So they're taking, so when you get on that vehicle, you don't know if that person's a general public, a paratransit, maybe a Medicaid. So it's really just taking our resources and opening up seats so we can be more efficient in how we provide services. We can be more efficient by providing all the services together in one vehicle rather than running those in 3 separate services.
I just wanted to make sure that people heard and understood what that actually was. And is there a separate application to use in order to book that, or am I reading that?
No, so they provide our Seamless on demand app. So it's through the App Store, the Apple App Store, or the Google Play App Store. You download, type in Seamless on demand, the first one pops up. One of the really good new features that we're working to deploy through this app is to allow our ADA paratransit clients or passengers, to book their rides from the app. We're working through a process to get that group kind of, all those that are qualified for that service, get that group kind of narrowed in, and then they can go to the app and book their trips up to 7 days in advance. So that's what we really featured to provide for those individuals, so that they can kind of take control of their trip schedule back to themselves without having to call into our office.
A little bit more accessible, something accessible, folks can get it done a lot faster.
Absolutely, trying to bring the tools to the passengers so they can make their life a lot easier to book these trips.
Can I ask my question regarding the 7-Eleven?
Well, yes, and I'm gonna ask you if you're okay in a minute, we haven't considered together, so go ahead and ask your question. If I honestly goes up.
Okay, this feasibility study, will this particular study call for citizen input or not?
Yeah, there is a section in the study that's outlined for public input in that. So it's another public input for site selection, for where these facilities are, what they are. So there is a major component, part of the process to solicit public input. We have identified in this contract that they provide virtual and potential in-person opportunities for that. So we learned from our last study that we didn't have that in there, and we learned from that in our input, put that in this so that people can provide those input opportunities with a virtual or in-person. So that will be a big piece. The study is planned right now to be an 8-month study, and I think the public input piece is somewhere between 3 and 7, somewhere in that kind of middle section.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think it's a good deal anytime we're making big decisions like that. We include hearing from the citizens. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nelson. Mr. Mandel, we appreciate you. Don't go far, there may be questions. Sheila, are you okay if we open the floor for a motion to consider those two together? Would you make that motion? It's fine. Hit the gauge.
Sound, then
There you go. You can hit your button. Oh, there you go.
okay, now I can do it. Mr. Mayor, I move that we take item 7.0.10 and 7.11 together.
Second. Okay, so let me can I take that as a motion to approve those two? Okay. All right.
7.10 and
Perfect.
7.11.
Okay, we got a second on that, Mr. Griffith, you okay with that in a second? Okay. Okay, council, is there further discussion on the motion to approve items 7.10 and 7.11? Mr. Christian, you okay with this? Yes. Okay, just make sure you're there. Okay. Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve items 7.10 and 7.11, please say aye. Aye. Opposed by that same sign. Okay, that motion carries 7-0. Chris, thank you very much. Appreciate your time tonight with us. Okay, that takes care of our consent agenda. The regular agenda begins with item 8.1. That is on page 305. Now, 8.1 and 8.2 are related. And before we have the public hearing, I'm going to ask, we'll kick this to Mr. Atkinson for a quick bit of background on this here.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. So as noted, 8.1 and 8.2 will go together. These are both related to a recent request for a rate increase that was filed by Southwestern Public Service Company, commonly known as Excel Energy today. This is quite different than what we looked at when Atmos or West Texas Gas or one of those comes in. The reason is there is only one customer that is impacted by this request for a rate increase, and it's a facility up on the far north part of town. However, the request for rate increase does include many other cities where all customers are SPS customers. So what is different about this one is that SPS is asking that the city council deny their request for rate increase. That then puts us all over into the efforts of all the SPS covered cities to work with their consultants to negotiate the rate case, and if needed, to go to the Public Utility Commission. Council, to do this, step one will be item 8.1, and that is to conduct a public hearing on SPS's request for a rate increase. Following that hearing, you will move to 8.2, which is the action item. You do have a resolution attached. If you pass that resolution, you are denying the rate increase per the request of Southwestern Public Service Company and allowing us then to move forward with the other cities.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Atkinson. Council, questions of Mr. Atkinson? Okay, I'll call item 8.1. The council will now hold a public hearing on the proposed statement of intent and application to change rates as filed by Southwestern Public Service Company doing business as Excel Energy. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone who would like to speak at the public hearing? Anyone like to speak at the public hearing? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Council will move to item 8.2. 8.2 is on page 306. To begin consideration, is there a motion? Move for approval. Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Is there a second? Thank you, Ms. Joy. Okay, just to clarify, a positive vote on Mr. Chavez's motion would in effect deny this case.
That is correct.
Okay. Everybody got that? Good. Any questions for Mr. Atkinson? Okay, all those in favor of the motion on item 8.2, please say aye. Aye. Opposed by the same side. Motion carries at 7-0. Okay. We'll move now to item 8.3. Items 8.3, 8.4, and 8.5 are second reading of some cases. Director of Planning, Mr. Eisen, is coming forward to do a brief overview of these. Council, when we considered these 2 weeks ago, they all three received unanimous support of the council. So we'll let Mr. Eisen do a quick overview. Following that, I'll ask you how you would like to handle this. Ron?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Item 8.3 is case 1489C for Part 7 represented tonight by AMD Engineering. The request is
Mr. Eisen, click the button on that microphone, and we don't have your, okay, we do have your slides in. Okay, thank you. They're up here behind us, it's not on our screen. Okay, please.
The request is to rezone property to Central Business District, Broadway 13th and Main C2 from Local Retail District C2 and High Density Apartment District A2. We sent out 14 notifications and received 0 in favor and 1 support. Here we show the subject site outline in orange, generally located at the intersection of A and X. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this, and City Council recommends or approve first reading by unanimous vote.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ison. Council, any questions on item 8.3, zone case 1489C? Okay, let's go to 8.4, Mr. Ison.
Item
Page
8.4
332.
Item 8.4 is case 3424 for B&B Properties represented by M&M Homes. The request is to rezone property to two-family district R2 from general retail district C3 and single-family district R1 for a townhome development at 2715, 2801, 2803, 2805, and 2807 Florida. Here we show the subject site outlined in orange, generally located south of Fordham Street and east of North Detroit. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this request, and the City Council approved first reading, both by unanimous votes.
Thank you, Mr. Ison. Council questions on item 8.4? Okay, Mr. Ison, let's go to item 8.5. It's on page 352. It says zone case 3425.
Item 8.5 is case 3425 for Wooded Forest LLC represented tonight by A&D Engineering. The request is to rezone to high density apartment district A2 from transition T located south of 58th Street west of Walsall Avenue. Here we show the subject site outlined in orange, again generally located south of 58th and east of Walsall Avenue. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval and City Council approved first reading, both by unanimous votes.
Thank you, Mr. Ison. Are there questions for Mr. Ison on item 8.5, zone case 3425? Okay, thank you, Brian. Don't go far, there's a chance we may need you back. Council, are you okay considering these together? If that's the case, Mr. Griffin, would you make a motion to that effect?
Yes, Mayor. Move for approval on item 8.4, 8.5, and 8.6. Oh, I'm sorry.
8.345.
I'm sorry. 8.3, 8.4, 8.5.
Thank you. Thank you for the motion, Mr. Griffin. For the second, Mr. Massengale. Okay, council, is there discussion or questions for staff? Ms. Jordan.
I don't have a question for staff, but I did want to ask Mr. Doolin a question. I think he's here.
Yes, he's hiding over there on the fringe.
It's always nice when you show up on his cases.
I was trying to say back there in the car.
Anyway, appreciate you being here. Just tell us where this project is. I mean, I think I know, but I'm not sure that.
Which one?
On 8, 3, no, 8.3.
Okay, is that the 15-acre apartment complex or is it?
It is the, it's on Main Street.
Main and L.
It's behind the U-Lots
Okay.
and where the conference cafe, I believe was. That's two different properties. We came before council a few years ago with this case. It's a high-rise apartment. This is a company that's built other properties here in town for student housing. And they're proposing to build a 5 to 7 story apartment complex. It'll have parking underneath, but it's pretty much a wall-to-wall type property. And we came for a zone case several years ago, and that lapsed. And so we're coming back again with the great board. So we can get a rezone.
Well, and that is an area that has really fallen into disrepair.
Yes.
Use the word for it.
There's some existing buildings that we're gonna have to demo, and those buildings are definitely in disrepair.
But it's really a good this time. The only thing you need is a better street on that. All right, okay.
Any other questions?
Mr. Doolin, if I recall, it's both, the way this is set up, in any case, it's property both north and south of Main Street, isn't that correct?
There will be a much larger structure on the north side and about half that size on the south.
Further questions or comments on the motion or discussion on the motion that's on the floor?
Comment.
Mr. Chavez.
2 of the 3 are in my district. rooftops in District 1, excitement. Mr. Doolin, thank you for what you're doing. Robbie Garbahan with M&M, thank you for doing what you're doing. It's good for the neighborhoods, it's good for the city, good for the tax rolls. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Other comments or questions? Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve items 8.3, 8.4, and 8.5. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed by the same sign? That motion carries 7-0. We'll now move to item 8.6. Item 8.6 is on page 307. Before we begin consideration, Mr. Isom, brief us again on this. This is not the first time we've seen this. This is, as I recall, was delayed to a date certain.
Yes.
To allow the proponent to potentially work on some concerns that we had about the case. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, please take it away.
Item 8.6 is case 1259A for Keosha Jenkins, represented by Delta Land Surveying. Ms. Jenkins is here tonight. The purpose of this is to rezone property from C4 to R2, Family District. On 1904, 1910, 1912 Island Road, we sent out 22 notifications and received 1 in favor and 2 in opposition. The opposition stated that the planning and zoning commission needed that they feel like duplexes were appropriate in this area. Here we show the location of the opposition and support. And here's the subject side outlined in orange, generally located south side of the road between Teak and Spruce Avenue. Future land use, or sorry, the current zoning outside is C4, with C4 to the west along Highland Road, and surrounded by R2 districts. Future land use map calls for light commercial in this area. Here's some photos of the subject side and some of the surrounding. So as the mayor mentioned, the previous discussion really focused on leaving some of that remaining C4 in between the proposed duplex or R2 lots. And she's been in some conversations with the property owner, Ms. Jenkins is here, and I'll let her elaborate if you have questions on that. And again, this isn't compatible with the surrounding area as much as the block base would remain C4. But the intensity of the proposed uses would not need any additional public improvement. The staff recommended denial of the request to the Planning and Zoning Commission. However, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval to the city council by a vote of 4 to 3 to 1. Staff is available for question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Isom. Council, any questions from Mr. Isom? Okay, Brian, we may call you back. It's getting close. Let's get a motion to begin consideration of item 8.6, case 1259A. Ms. Jordan? Thank you, Mr. George. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Okay, Ms. Patterson Harris, you want to start on this? Can we get Ms. Jenkins come up? Is that okay with you? Ms. Jenkins, can you come forward and give us an update on the progress you made? I know that you had a birthday since we've seen you last, because we wanted to have this meeting on your birthday. So we moved, yeah, so happy birthday. Yeah.
So, yes, the owner, of my lots, she's agreed to something.
Okay.
So I'm got her on standby already, but I want, she told me that there was a problem that I would run into with parking recreation, but I spoke with Mr. Isom, and it's Canyon Lake. What's it called? Canyon Lake.
Yeah, her property is located within the Canyon Lake policy area, so there's additional things that have to go through the review process. The building permits have to go through approval through the planning and zoning commission.
But I think the main one was that is to have landscaping. So before I got in the contract, I wanted to make sure that I would be doing for it. So basically, I'll have all 5 of the lots, so that all of them can see around the area. But before I got this contract, like I said, I wanted to make sure that would be an issue.
Okay, so if I understand that correctly, Mr. Isom, can you put the lot level detail up, please, sir? Okay, that right here. So, Ms. Jenkins, you would own lots starting from the sort of the northeast and moving to the southwest. You'd own lots 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't have, you have just a sort of handshake on this, is that correct?
No, I have,
You have a contract?
yeah, I have my realtor waiting to get it together.
Okay. So,
I have a question.
yes, Ms. Patterson, yes.
What is the actual status with the other pieces of property? The ones that are between,
The two in the middle,
yes,
it's owned by the same person.
okay. But what is the status of that property? Is it in your ownership?
Not yet. That's what I was saying, like, she was telling me that I would have an issue with Parks and Rec, but that wasn't the issue. The issue was that it's under Canyon Lakes, policy area. So I wanted to make sure before I move forward with the contract, and it's a cash purchase, so it would take longer before I put it out. I want to make sure I would hit another roadblock. So.
My issue is that you don't own the property now. You're before me today, and you don't own the property. And I think there was a conversation that we had. And the only, what's the holdup with her is because you thought you'd have to have some issues with Parks and Rec.
Okay, yes, I didn't want to move forward, but I was pretty sure that if I did, I would keep not being able to move forward with getting the zone. But, I could get it done like in 2 weeks, I could get it sent to like the planning department. And he could like submit it to you guys, if that is all I need to move forward.
My concern is the ownership of the property. That's one of my concerns, is the ownership of the property.
But I can get it done.
Because here's my deal, right now you own it, and we can only change what you're requesting. We can't, until you own the other property, we can't say what happens with that. Tomorrow morning, whoever the property owner is, can decide that, you know, it's not a good idea to sell that, and we're back to square one. And while we have, and for me, because it's in District Number 2, I have citizens there that are not in favor of it. And I just can't see, you know, things going well with it being a mixed match situation. And right now, that's what's before me.
So if I, go ahead and purchase and then submit the application with my application for those to be changes, with that, like, better. Like if I go ahead and purchase the lots in the middle and then submit a zone change for those lots as well, the application for those as well, like, would that help? Like, so I can just go ahead and do it through.
I'd like to see you own the property that you're wanting to do something with. And right now, you don't own the property.
Okay.
And that's a huge issue, number one, because if you change yours, whoever owns the other property, can do whatever it is that it's zoned as, which would be an issue for you with what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Ms. Jordan, Ms.
Mr.
Jordan.
Jenkins, you're going to have, if you acquire this property, you're still gonna have to go back to planning and zoning and get the zone changed on the lot that you purchased. So I think what we were all trying to figure out is what's the best way for you to do this and then come to us on all of the lots, as opposed to
Still
Ms.
trying.
Patterson's having a hard time with, because you don't own, have legal title, let's call it that. Yeah. And you're still gonna have to go back to planning and zoning. So the only thing I know to do is move to postpone.
Mr. Weaver, do you have a thought on this? Hold on a second, we're gonna get Mr. Weaver's microphone.
It's been a while. There we go. If planning can give you an idea of when the second application would move through, you could put the two together contemporaneous with one another. You can postpone it to that date.
Ronnie, you want to add anything to that?
So being next available application date we have is April 1st for the May 6th Planning and Zoning Commission, which would then put, leave the city council first reading, the second city council meeting in May.
Yeah. I think this is something we do.
I think that maybe the 24th, does that sound right? Is that right, Bob? It looks like the morning, yes. If it, the alpha day.
Or would, if I can ask Mr. Jenkins a question, Mr. Mayor,
Should say,
if I can ask Mr. Jenkins a
sure,
question.
yeah, please.
Your plans and all, you have that prepared to present to whomever? Has anything changed with regard to the company you're using to build for you, anything like that?
No, because I'm already building on like big tree street over there, I'm building single family homes. So I'm already.
Thank you.
No.
Okay, yeah, for me, I just, whatever we have to do, because you want it done right. And I'd like to see something nice there. It's still maybe somewhat of a hard sell for the neighbors around, or maybe not, maybe a second conversation with them is needed. for me as well.
Okay, so Mr. Anderson Harris, what I think I want to hear you say is you'd like to consider all 5 of these lots at the same time. And with Ms. Jenkins having title to them. And that you generally think what she wants to do is a good thing, you want to do it all. You'd like to make sure we do that at one time.
Because I think that's what we said the last time we were here, is that's what we wanted to see. Is that we can either have ownership and go through the process, so to be presented all in one package for us instead of piecemeal. I think that's.
I think, Mr. Ashton, does that sound correct to you? So what we would then do is look for a motion to we look for a motion to bring this case back contemporaneous with the first reading of the new zone case for lots 16 and 17. So
Well, the other option
19 or
would be if she withdrew
17.
her request
and
and just put them all together.
What's easier for you, Brian? She does that, she's paid a fee she's still going to pay it.
Either way, I'll pay it.
You're going to pay another fee regardless, right? Would it be easier to bring them all together?
Probably be more appropriate to bring them all back together.
Okay. Mr. Griffin. Mr. Griffin.
Thank you. I have a question, Ms. Jenkins. By doing it this way, does this put you at risk by having these other lots? Because, I mean, you can buy them all, you can buy the others that are available, obviously. But you can come back here and still make it voted down. I mean, that's a possibility, so I appreciate the fact you brought them, if you got an agreement on interest to purchase that. But do you continue on if you can't get zoning approval?
That's what.
I mean, it's, to me, it's,
That's what I was worried about. That's
Yeah.
what- Like, I have her on standby, but I was worried that if I purchased it already, that's still get approved.
right, there's no guarantee, it's fine. And I won't scare you, but, that's my concern is, it says that you got a commitment, but it's not, why have that cash outlay if you're not gonna be able to go through the project? I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah. Mr. Roger, if we deny her request today on these lots, then she can't come back. For how long?
So since the planning and zoning commission recommended approval, she can submit for the next one.
She could still submit. But that wouldn't be the best approach with
like Councilman Griffith pointed out, even if we delay this, there's a chance that the other one could be denied and we're back to square one. So bring it all back as one big chunk. Appropriately.
I think the council's made it pretty clear that we want to look at it as one group. Ms. Jenkins would not have to purchase those lots, you just have to have under, she'd have to have a contract, an option under contract.
Or contingent.
With the, yeah,
Contingent on the.
yeah, and could bring it back to us as one case. I think that's where you're,
Which means if you lost, then you wouldn't be obligated to buy those. Your realtor should be able to buy it.
But you would have to, she would have to withdraw what's before us today.
or we could just deny it. Or they table it in.
Yeah, I think if we deny it, that may create additional issues for her with paying someone.
Mr. Reader, would it be appropriate to just table it indefinitely?
Certainly an option. Certainly an option, yes.
There'd be no conflict with it sitting out there in the ether if we considered it a different case, correct? No. Okay. All right. Ms. Patterson, would you make a motion to that effect?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we postpone this case indefinitely.
Is there a second? Mr. Griffith. Thank you, Mr. Griffith, for that. Is there further discussion on this?
I just want you to know we're trying to. I know it doesn't sound like, but we're going.
Mayor,
Mr. Janice.
Ms. Jenkins, you understand what just transpired, right? Do you have any questions as to what you heard, the conversation? I want to make sure when you walk out
ask
here,
one question.
Yeah, go for it.
please, because I want to make sure when this is all over, that everything that you're thinking and questioning, you got to answer before you walk out.
So I have the option to do the contract.
Can you remove your mask, please?
I have the option to do a sales contract contingency. Or if I go ahead and buy them, will I be more opposed? Will you guys be more opposed to the
You haven't, I think if you have it under option, you have a contract on to buy. You bring it back, all five of them in one zone case. I think that's how the council would like to consider this.
So don't buy it yet, just put it under contract.
Yeah.
Oh,
You would put it under contract with contingent on the zone.
okay.
And I would get advice from you.
Having already done that. Okay. Anything else? Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. Sorry for the issues, but we're gonna get there. Okay, council, we have a motion on the floor to postpone item 8.6 indefinitely. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed by that same sign. Okay, that motion to postpone indefinitely passes 7-0. Okay, I believe that concludes our business, Ms. Garza, is that correct?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Weaver, good. I just would remind the public, some of you work with us this afternoon in a work session, but there's a potential downtown civic park. It's called out in the downtown plan. We've hired a firm to help us do some design and build a sort of a concept for that. And the survey for that goes live tomorrow. And it's www.loveitcivicpark.org. We encourage all of our citizens to do that. It'll be up for 2 weeks. Okay. Otherwise, I believe that takes care of our business. We'll be back here again on March 23rd. It's 5:50 p.m. Lubbock City Council's adjourned.